so far. What can they do from second and third?
It's going to be really interesting to see how they get on. I'd like to apologise for no track audio in this broadcast. We've of course had some dramas with Formula E being pushed backwards, being pushed forwards across the last 2 days, which means that we put JT on another stream, our usual producer, when JB isn't here for this, and it means that we unfortunately aren't able to get him today for this one. So it does mean that we find ourselves without track audio, but we'll still of course do our best to keep you updated with what's going on screen as well. So we'll run you through the grid in a couple of moments time. But Rafa Kamara, his sprint races, Tom, just don't go to plan. Once again, it was another edition of seeing him have a moment in a sprint race and find himself out of the race.
It was a terrible shame for Kamara. He just cannot catch a break when it comes to sprint races at the moment. But the bigger chunk of points are what we see in the feature, and it's time to run down on the grid for this morning's race in FIA Formula 3.
Yep, absolutely. We have Lecorte in the Alpine colours starting at the back in 30th, Garagis alongside in 29th. And then we find ourselves with Zagazzetta in 28th. Marinangeli starts in 27th position on the grid. And then it is a row of our two drivers taking their first feature races. We have Carrasquedo alongside Garfias. Ugo Gachuku is in 24th. He's alongside Christian Ho, who goes from 23rd position on the grid. And then in 22nd it's Brandon Bedoya. He's alongside Brad Benavidez, who is getting ready for another feature race at this level. And then in 20th position we have home favourite Bruno Del Pino alongside Spanish team's driver Tessana Polin to Pruvazak. Charlie Wells is in 18th, and then we have Louis Sharp, who finds himself running in 17th position on the grid. And then it's Callum Boysen in 16th. Mari Boyer made up some great overtakes, the home hero did, and he's going to hope to give the fans a lot more to cheer about today, and he goes from 15th. Noah Leon's ahead in 14th. Then it's Tim Trammon, it's part of the Red Bull Academy of course, in 13th. James Wharton is in 12th, and it's Roman Belinsky who starts in 11th. He is going to be desperate to get into the points, as will Martini Estension. They were the two drivers who made contact yesterday. Tuka Tappinen, let's see what he can also do. He's been a contender in our feature races, so has Noah Stromstead. He's been second on 2 occasions so far this season, and after what happened yesterday, he'll want to fight back. He's alongside our race winner from yesterday, Dominguez. GSD is in 6th. Santiago Ramos finds himself in 5th on the grid, and then it's Teofimo Fional alongside Lawrence Van Hoopen, and our front row is going to see Nikola Solov, who broke the record of most wins in Formula 3 last time out, alongside the form man, especially when it comes to feature races in Formula 3, Rafa Kamara. The long run down to turn 1 is going to be very interesting. We have seen Kamara lose the lead at the start of races a few times, but he's been able to gain it back. And around Spain, Tom, even if you do lose the lead at the start, you can find yourself being able to take it back a couple of moments later with the DRS on the next few laps.
Yeah, I reckon so as well. As we see the drivers go off on their formation lap to get ready for the start of this one. 25 laps, I believe it is, for the feature race. As we see they're making their way through turn 1 now. And Sanjo GSD we ride on board with, who could do with a strong result. This has been a consistent... Well, he has been consistent this season, looking at his run of form for GSD. Look at where he is in the standings. He's currently sitting in 11th, but he has scored points in each of the last 7 races. Can you make it 8 here?
Yep, that will be his goal as well. Kamara finds himself with a goal definitely this season to try and break the record. He'll hope to do it in 1 season, but he is currently the man who has that record directly in behind. So I'm looking forward to seeing those two doing battle as well. Lawrence Van Hoopen, he mentioned how he'd hoped when he came into this round that he would achieve a confidence boost, and it definitely looks like that is going to be the case as well. Teofimo Fional, I feel like, doing very well in 4th as well for Van Amersfoort, and he's directly ahead of his teammate Santiago Ramos. So an interesting battle going on there, and Sandro Giusti involved in a lot of fighting yesterday. Do you think possibly he could have a chance of getting on the podium today?
I think so. I think he's got every chance of getting a podium out of this, as we see Kamara with the Aramco pole position award with Stefano Domenicali. Pick up another one to go alongside what he got at Imola as well. 4 pole positions out of 5 this season for Rafa Kamara, and really just reaching the halfway point in the season. Solov, who goes into the second in the championship after his brilliant podium yesterday, and given that his rivals in the championship fell by the wayside, there is an opportunity he could well lead the championship after today's race. He's 10 points off Rafa Kamara heading into this. So we'll see how it plays out into turn 1. Hopefully we won't get the mayhem of what we had yesterday. We want to see some clean racing all the way through. We look at Noel Leon, one of 4 Mexican drivers in the field. Santiago Ramos, Jose Garfias, and Jesse Carrasquedo are the other ones. And a lot of drivers have competed in this championship already. 35 drivers in total, including 7 of which being part of the AIX racing crew. With there's been a lot of changes going on within that team, hasn't it?
Yeah, hopefully it's going to get to some, hopefully it's going to become a little bit more stable. I think is definitely the right way to say that. Rafa Kamara really backing up the field, doesn't want to be waiting on the grid for too long. He wants everyone to join him very quickly, because of course you've got 29 other Formula 3 cars to line up once you are done on pole position. So let's see them all getting themselves into position on the grid. You can sometimes see little mistakes where drivers can be out of their boxes, which you do not want at all. You want to get this to perfection, or the penalty can be quite big. So let's see them all getting into place now, and it's going to be an interesting race down towards the first corner. We've seen lots of battling down towards the first corner, lots of slipstreaming down there as well, and we're hopefully going to get more of the same as we get ready for Lacorte to get himself into position at the back of the field. The number 29, of course, part of Dams Lucas Oil Racing, as they get ready for their first Formula 3 feature race around Barcelona. And it's going to be a race where the drivers will have to manage the tyres all the way to the end. Similar story to what we saw yesterday. They could be helped out by safety cars if we do get them. And here we go then. We're going to put the green flag at the back in Formula 3. And for the feature race, it will be time to go racing. We look over to the gantry and wait for the count to begin, which has 3, 4, 5... And the F3 feature is underway. Slow reaction time off the line for Nicolas Solov. Rafa Kamara will maintain the lead, as we see immediately tucking in the slipstream. Lawrence Van Hoopen will put the pressure on our pole sitter down towards the first corner. Ramos, and we have Teofil now tucking in as Lawrence Van Hoopen has a go. There's a lockup in the background as well for one of the ART cars. Can they all make their way through the opening couple of corners on this circuit? That's GST all out of shape on the gravel trap as they make their way through turn number 3 for the first time. We've got a Van Amersfoort running wide, but it is Kamara, then it is Van Hoopen, and then it's Teofil in third position as Santiago Ramos drops down.
A slow get away from Nicolas Solov off the grid from second place, not what he needed, but Rafa Kamara keeping the early advantage over Lawrence Van Hoopen. So you see the field jostling their way through. Say at corner, there goes one of the Van Amersfoort racing cars, and that's Santiago Ramos fighting it out with, well, it might have been Ivan Dominguez fighting it with Alessandro Giusti through there. And now we're seeing 2 of the Red Bull cars coming through turn 7 and 8. That has to be Nicolas Solov and Tim Chumnitz as they all head their way through Campster Corner now. There was a slow-moving car coming out of turn 3, and there is Santiago Ramos, who is slow with an issue, and it's an early end to his race effectively.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I did mention he had a very, he was bogging down quite a bit and slowed down, but didn't know it was that bad. As we make our way through, Glensing Blinsky has dropped down as well. We're on board with Noel Leon in the Prema, trying to find a way through and trying to navigate his way through some of this traffic that lies ahead of the Prema driver at the moment. He's got James Wharton directly in front of him as we come over the line. It's Kamara, then it is Van Hoopen, who had a go to try to take the lead at turn 1, could not get there, and then Teofil sticking in there. Santiago Ramos was contending at the front as well, but he found himself, I would assume, the Van Amersfoort that was off the road and trundling all the way to the back of the field. Meanwhile, you've got Solov, who is really having to go on the defensive, along with Tim Tramanich having to really defend hard as we go side by side, and that's going to be a brave move from Carrasquedo, who's already coming in to Formula 3 and putting some pressure on the other driver who's having his first feature race, which is Garfias.
The top 3 in a league of their own, and then you've got Tuka Tappinen at the head of this long queue, which the DRS will be enabled on this lap. So it's going to be down to Tappinen to just try and keep up with the top 3, because otherwise he's going to be a sitting duck on the pit straights.
He absolutely will. That is going to be critical as they make their way through. Stenchun is up 5 places. We have Tuka Tappinen, who's gained 5 places as well. So some really fast starters like we saw yesterday, but today it's even more impressive as we haven't had the chaos that we did. We did, of course, have Ramos having a few issues. He's come into the pit lane, so we're going to have to review the race start to see exactly what happened to the driver who was looking to be in contention down towards the first corner, and it looks like he is out of the race, and he says, I was hit. He was hit at the back, and he wasn't left any room. So we're gonna have to take a look at a replay to see what happened to the Mexican driver there.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough when we get a replay of the start. But Kamara holding firm, but he is within DRS territory here from Lawrence Van Herpen. He's got the rear wing open, so we'll see how quickly he can get to the rear of it. There's an infringement in terms of a starting procedure for Nicola Marinagli, and we'll hope to get more on that in the near future as we see GSC thinking about a move on Stenshorn into turn one. It's got a lot further in this one compared to yesterday, and then we see one of the Road and Motorsport cars fighting it out. That has to be Callum Voisin, who is tussling with Noel Leon at turns 1 and 2.
Those two drivers really going for it as well. Glenn was saying in the chat that Louis Sharp finding F3 a little bit more tricky than he did GB3, and he's hoping that Team Rodin do have a good race as well. And yeah, Louis Sharp currently running in 15th. We were just talking about his teammate Callum Voisin, who was able to stay ahead of Noel Leon. Dropping down our order is going to be Garfias and Belinsky. Belinsky finds himself off the road once again. Garfias has also been involved in that one, like we had his tyre come off yesterday. So the two drivers who had issues yesterday with issues again, and we've got the safety car out on lap 3.
Yeah, I wonder if Garfias got attacked from someone else, and which saw him rebound back into the path of Belinsky, hence why Belinsky had nowhere to go. Both drivers out of the race then. What a miserable weekend it has been for Roman Belinsky after the podium he picked up in Monaco last weekend, and we'll probably want to get a word with Garfias to find out exactly what had been going on. We'll see soon enough. Both drivers unhurt by the looks of things. Garfias just getting the steering wheel out. Belinsky understandably dejected. This is a replay of the start then. So we're going to see Solov get bobbed down here as Rafa Kamara pulls away. And yeah, I don't know where it is. You just saw the rear light just flashing there. So I don't know whether he got into anti-stall first and then found a gear. But that cost Solov dear either way. Van Herpen to the outside. There was a lockup there from one of the ART drivers. That was the number 9 coming through. That must have been James Wharton because he was further down from where Tappinen and Van Herpen have been at. And that's Ramos pulling off the circuit there. He's clearly been hit by someone else. He started, well, looks like 5th on the grid for Ramos. So he's getting to the rear here of the... I'm just trying to see who that is there. I think that's Teofil Niall. Or that he's going to the outside of into turn 1. Does he get hit? I can't quite tell from that angle whether he got hit really there, Ramos. But you can see there by the movement of his steering wheel that he's got some form of damage. I wonder if it was GST that ran into Ramos at turn 1, hence why Ramos went off the circuit to begin with. And that looks like a puncture. I think he may well have had a puncture from the contact.
Yeah, so that was really tight stuff between those two drivers, and we wondered where Ramos had went, and I saw him completely disappear, so we knew that he went somewhere, and he was the car that was running right at the back. GSC with a decent start. He was all over the road, though, and very close to the gravel as well, as he was trying to avoid Ramos. Well, we do have a safety car, so it's a perfect time to, of course, be talking you through the replays, and we'll get to the incident that did cause the safety car in a few moments' time as well, we will hope. So yes, no contact between Niall and Ramos. GSC then, as I mentioned, all out of shape. So where does the contact come then? Is it just running over the curb?
It feels like he had a ride over the curb, didn't he? Because the car lifted off the ground, and the way it bounced must have caused some form of damage to the machines. It's a very strange one there for Santiago Ramos, and there was a move there from Stenshorn, but the inside was a beautiful overtake. And this is further on in the race, where this is Garfias and Belinsky coming to play. So they've had contact, those two, and, well, that looks really strange. Although Garfias' car was totally damaged there, and it left Belinsky with just nowhere to go whatsoever.
So they've made contact on the way in and then come to contact once again. So, yeah, according to Garfias, Belinsky drove into him, and he's just not happy, and they're both having words with each other, and they will continue to debate that one out. As they will do so, we'll continue to run behind the safety car while the recovery goes on of Garfias and Belinsky. But yes, not going Belinsky's way at all. Ever since he had ever since he bogged down off the start, it's not been going his way. Ramos, of course, find himself out with that little damage that he picked up running over the curb, we believe, on that opening lap. So the order is Kamara, Van Hopen, Niall, Tappinen, Stenshorn, GSD, Dominguez, Solov, Traminit, and Noah Storm. So that's your top 10 behind the safety car at the moment, and this is a good opportunity for them now to preserve those tyres a little bit more, and it will help them later on.
Yeah, so it's a longer race compared to what we had yesterday. We had 21 in the sprint. It's 25 in the feature. Tyre management is going to come into play, even though the safety car has been out on circuit. It's still going to be a challenge for them to ensure they preserve enough tyre life to get to the end, which could help them in the final few laps. And then we see the recovery vehicle just lifting Bielinski's car first off the circuit before they can retrieve Garfias. It's likely we're going to get another lap behind the safety car after this, which will buy us some time to just take a breather and digest everything so far. Looking at the drivers who have gained positions, Tappinen up 5, Stenshorn up 5, Solov down 6, and you've got Christian Ho, who is up 5 from his starting spot, and Gerard G up 6. He's the one that's gained the most from his grid position.
Yeah, and for a driver who started in 29th position, exactly what he needed. Of course, aided slightly with 3 positions due to what's happened with Garfias, Bielinski and Ramos, but he's been able to keep himself out of chaos, and it now means that he is behind his teammate Carrasquedo as well. Premers, who as we mentioned coming into this weekend, have won around Barcelona 7 times in the past. They right now are in 14th, 21st and 25th, so still not going their way once again. Leon needs to be up there to pick up any pieces that there might be if there is any other chaos, which it will be because it's Formula 3. We're going back to the race start, and we're looking from the rear of Rafa Kamara then, and this is some of the pressure that he was under from Laurens van Hoopen, but he was able to place the car perfectly, so there wasn't any major threat.
No, so he covering the inside, so it was very clever from Kamara to just make sure that Van Hoopen didn't have a gap on the inside to go through. There's Ramos further behind, just going off the circuit before pulling off. Yeah, it was a brilliant start there for Kamara compared to yesterday. This is now Leon, who we are looking on the onboard here. So someone's slow up ahead. That was one of the Rodin Motorsport cars. It might have been Roman Bielinski, who got bobbed down, wasn't it? So Leon gained a place at the expense of him, and he's going to go to the inside. There's a lockup from James Wharton up ahead, and Leon had to summon the brakes slightly to ensure he didn't run into him. And then you just see someone else coming through from the runoff there. This goes back to what I was saying yesterday, Omi. When you go off the circuit at turns 1 and 2 and come back the right way or to the left of the bollards, which you're supposed to go round every time you go off at turns 1 and 2, it feels like you're gaining an advantage, in my point of view. So that'll be something for the stewards to think about going forward, because they put those bollards there to tell the drivers to go to the left of them for safety reasons, so they don't come back out into the path of another driver. I think Alex Peroni fell foul of that one year when he was competing in this championship at this track. And, well, it feels now that drivers are using the runoff to gain positions, which is not what you're supposed to be doing on any racetrack. Yeah,
it's not good at all, because, of course, drivers can easily take the easy route out then, as we see with Leon having a go at turn number 10. This is on the replay as he was trying to get past Callum Moysen here on the opening lap, and then he fancies his chance. This is when we went on, if you're synced up with us, this is when we went on board with him with live pictures, and he was able to go all the way around the outside. He still had to, of course, leave room to the inside, but then was finally able to get by. But yeah, you never want a part of the circuit which drivers can just easily take and not make any attempts to even do it, because they know that the runoff area is quite quick. So something for them to consider if, of course, we do return to this circuit. Still question marks on whether that will be the case or not, but definitely for all of the other racing that will go on, that'll be interesting. Marin Angeli, 10-second stop-go penalty, and that is for out of position at the safety car line as Garfias' car is cleared.
So he won't be able to take that under the safety car, will Marin Angeli. He'll have to take it under green flag conditions. He'll probably take it on the lap that the safety car comes in, so that he can get it done and out of the way, just in case the safety car was to make another appearance. Rafa Kamara then, he'll be happy with this situation, given that Solov is a bit further down the order than anticipated. You've got Tremnitz, who is in 9th position. He picks up a grid penalty, did Tremnitz, for his part in the incident with Bielinski and Stenshorn in the sprint race yesterday. Stromstead down the order in 10th place. And you got Tappinen, who's up there in 4th. So you have to say, as far as the championship is concerned, it's falling back into Kamara's hands, isn't it?
Yeah. Even with all of the sprints not going his way, he's grabbing lots of the 2 points available on the Friday for pole position, the Aramco pole position that he is earning himself. And then he's also, of course, being able to get all of the points in the feature races. So while he is pretty much cursed in the sprints, it definitely doesn't bode well. However, F1 teams will be watching F1 team, and he's of course part of the Ferrari Academy in specific. No doubt that he will not move up to Formula J. He will absolutely go up. He will absolutely go up next season. But if this is a trend that continues, that will be something that teams are looking at in terms of what's going wrong in sprint races and stuff like that. We, of course, in Formula 3 and Formula 2, the reason why the reverse grid race exists. Okay, you know how to dominate from the front, but can you make the overtakes? What's your racecraft like in the middle of the pack? Because you might be dominating at this level, but you are most likely to go to the midfield of the level of Formula 1. So the teams get an opportunity to assess that. So if there is a continuous theme, when it especially when he gets to F2 of Kamara's sprint race, which I assume he will sort out. It's the drivers are unfinished articles at this stage. It will eventually be sorted, but it's something that he will definitely be trying to work on. You never want that, and it will be something F1 teams keep a close eye on when it comes to that one. So it's important that even if you are maintaining the championship lead, you are showing F1 your talent and skill, and he's about to show F1 his talent and skill on this restart. But it looks like Laurens van Hoopen, who's got the fastest lap of the race, is gonna go with the Brazilian driver as we come out of the final corner to go Formula 3 racing once again around Barcelona as we tick onto lap number 8. Kamara immediately trying to break the slipstream. The battle though we'll be looking for will be between Tappinen and Stenshorn. Down towards turn 1, Tappinen covering the inside line. Can Stenshorn go the long way around? It's gonna be tight stuff into the braking zone. Stenshorn will want to go the long way around, and he will go the long way around. Nice and tidy stuff from Martinius. Stenshorn able to take P4.
Yeah, and we've got a move going on from one of the Red Bull Junior cars. That has to be Nicholas Solovs looking to the outside of Ivan Dominguez, and he makes the move stick. So the Bulgarian on a charge through ahead of the VAR, but Dominguez is coming back on the inside into turn number 4. But I think Solov will have the high ground this time around. So Solov on the move already on this restart here in Catalonia, as he's on the rear of GSC, which he wants to dispose of very, very soon. No DRS for the first lap of the restart. That'll come once the next time around they come over the line.
Yep, absolutely. At the moment, we are all okay, and that's going to be brave stuff coming in. Bruno Del Pino under all sorts of pressure at the moment, and Louis Sharp trying to find his way by, trying to turn the outside to the inside of turn number 9, and he will fight a way through. Louis Sharp, brave there, and he will get his reward with getting past Bruno Del Pino, and at the same time, Christian Ho will want to get involved as well. He's having a look to the inside. Del Pino's fighting back and trying to go the long way around. Marin Angeli's being told to box for the penalty that he has to serve. Mari Boyer is under investigation. Christian Ho is going the long way around of Del Pino. Del Pino was boxed in due to Louis Sharp, and it means that the Singaporean driver Christian Ho is able to get ahead.
Yeah, nicely done. You just see a wheel dipped onto the grass there from the number 31. That has to be Christian Ho, who has just done well to keep hold of it ahead of Bruno Del Pino. So Ho living to fight another day, and we've seen Charlie Wirtz a little bit further behind, trying to make a move of his own on Brad Benavides, and now we are seeing Tazin Vipuvacek fighting it out with Noel Leon. Leon is able to keep hold of 14th place. Someone's gone through the runner area. There's a car slowing. That's Tappinen. Tappinen slowing from 4th position, Omi.
Yeah, Tuukka Tappinen is slowing down, and, well, the Finnish driver finds himself, looks like, with an issue, and it means that he's going to be coming to a halt further back. The driver that was running in 4th position, and, of course, he dropped down to 5th on the restart, but now he's going to find himself trying to get it back to the pit lane at slow speed, but that is race over, and that will be no points scored for Tuukka Tappinen. Such a disappointment. He was looking on for a good result.
Yeah, very, very, very bad luck there from Tuukka Tappinen. I don't know whether he's found drive again on the exit of turn 4. We'll see soon enough. And a 10-second time penalty to Mari Boyer for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. I wonder if that's over at turn 2 at the start, Omi, because we saw about 4 or 5 drivers go through the runoff area and go to the left side of the borough, only to find out that perhaps gained time and positions, actually, as a result. So Barry Boyer, the first of those casualties to be given a 10-second time penalty. And I think given that the field are in close proximity, that's going to drop him out of the points for sure.
Yep, could absolutely be the case. Over the line we come once again to see who's going to be putting the pressure on. Leon will be under pressure from Minter Pruvizak. Boyer is going to be trying to put some pressure of his own on. Giusti has a look to try to take 4th position. Cannot do so. Further up ahead, we're going wheel to wheel. That is going to be Callum Boysen going round the outside of James Wharton. As at the same time, Minter Pruvizak does get ahead of Leon. So 2 battles going on there and 2 positions exchange. Mari Boyer currently finds himself in the points. The home favourite, but right behind him it's Woysen, Wharton, all doing battle and it's Warriors News ahead of Water, into Puvazax ahead of Leon, and we find ourselves at the back with Ugo Gochukwu and Lacorte, who are getting very close together. But talking about getting close together, we've got Charlie Wurz looking up the inside of Brad Benavidez. They are making contact, kind of like what we saw Miniam Montoya do, but this time they're able to keep it together. They don't come to contact in the same way, luckily, so no damage there, but they're still battling, and Charlie Wurz trying to get by on Brad Benavidez, placing the car nicely at this stage, though, is Brad.
Yeah, well, nicely placing the car there is Brad Benavidez ahead of Charlie Wirtz as they come round Campsite corner once more. This is not for points for these two. This is for 18th place. But you never know with the race panning out as it is. You know, we could end up with penalties for drivers for leaving the track and again advantage. Rafa Canara is most certainly not one of those, though. But he is under attack with the DRS from Lawrence Van Herpen, and will have that open because he's most certainly within the second behind. But watch out for Stenshon and GST, because they are going to go nose to toe, and I think GST's got Stenshon in his pocket here.
Yep, doesn't even bother defending. Does Martinius Stenshon when he sees the Williams Academy driver go on by, if he can pick his braking spot into turn 1, which he does. That is 4th position for Sandro GST. Nice stuff from him, really coming alive this season in Formula 3. It's been brilliant to watch and see what he's been able to do, and he'll look to try contend. Of course, he would have been really dejected to lose out of what happened in Monaco in the sprint race, to lose that race win. If you start on pole, it's a race with no pit stops, you expect to win it, so he would have been so gutted that day. But it's great that he's being able to fight back, and he 100% will be taking more wins. Once again, top 3 able to pull away, and they've been in the class of their own. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. If we go back to Imola, as Lacorte and Zagazzetta, the damn switch positions. Belinsky and Garfias will be investigated after the race. Both drivers are already out, so that is absolutely fine. Yeah, if we go back to Imola, Kamara's tyres faded away right at the end. It looked all in control for most of it, but it faded away. That would have been a lesson he learnt, and you definitely could see possibly some changes coming, especially with it being a longer feature race. This is Zagazzetta, and he was doing battle at the time with Gerard G, and they got so tight and they got so close into turn 1.
Yeah, that is the Dams going through the runoff area and coming out. Does he actually rejoin ahead of Gerard G? It'll be interesting to know where he actually did or not. He's behind G, so we'll leave that one alone. There is a incident involving Trumnitz and Stromstead, and that's for changing direction, I believe, on the straight. So the stewards are paying attention to that, because the reason why they only allow one defensive move before the braking zone is for safety reasons. And we have seen accidents happen when drivers are moving across more than once. There we see Wirtz and Benavidez fighting over 18th place once more. Wirtz trying to do a switchback round the outside of Benavidez, but to no avail. Benavidez holding on for the time being ahead of the Trident. Van Herpen's still not able to find a way past Kamara at the moment, even with the DRS.
Yep, absolutely not able to find a way by it. And he's trying to use the DRS to his advantage. He's trying to come up with some he's trying to come up with some different racing lines to see whether he's able to get on by it, but nothing doing at this stage for him as they all make their way through. And Kamara now still with Van Hopen and Nile behind with DRS. GST has is going to try and see whether he can close the gap in, but he'll hope for some tyre drop off. So that will depend. Of course, it was Noah Stromstead, the driver who came alive at the end of the race at Imola, where he, of course, absolutely did Rafa Kamara, but he was chasing after Ramos that day, and Ramos was victorious by under 0.2 of a second, where we described if there was one more corner, the lead would have changed. Pit lane entry's been closed.
I wonder why that is then. Is someone blocking the entry to the pit lane or something? We'll find out soon enough what's going on there. Lawrence Van Herpen within DRS range, though, to attack Rafa Kamara. Does he go for it into turn 1? Not for the time being. It's probably not best to do it at this stage. As he waits behind Teofil Nile, who was having his best race, I think, since Australia. Now he's got a three-way battle further down the order. There's Intha Puvasak with Wharton and Is that Mary Boyer? No, it's Helen Voisin who's behind these two. Intha Puvasak round the outside of Wharton, and he goes up into 11th place on the road.
Absolutely wild stuff. They were going 3 wide into turn number 1. Wharton was able to get ahead of them all for the moment. Into Prubizak was able to fight back at turn 3. So nice stuff from him. This is not for points. This is for 11th position. As we see, Woisen trying to get the power down. And he'll try to place the car on the outside. Tim Traminitz has got a black and white flag. That is for moving under braking. So loads of race control messages to keep on top of in this race. They're all coming at us very, very quickly. And vital ones as well. So that is something that Tim Traminitz is now going to have to be careful of, as he'll need to try and make sure that he's not moving under braking too much. Okay, let's take a look at the replay. So into Pruvzak basically gets 2 positions. He sends it up the inside, and then it's Wharton around the outside. Wharton gets it for the moment, and then into Pruvzak's already got past Woisen, and then he's going to get past James Wharton a couple of meters later.
It was as sweet as you like there from Tazin Pruvzak, just making the most of it, saying, right, I'm overtaking you, and then I'm overtaking you a couple of corners later. Nicely done there from the man from Thailand. Going through up into 11th place, which will effectively become 7th because of Boyer's penalty. Here are the leaders once more then on lap 14. 12 to go here in Barcelona as Van Herpen thinks about an overtake, does not go for it this time around. GSC and Stenchon a little bit further back. They're not really under attack. They won't have DRS behind these this lot, but the likes of Solov, Dominguez and Tremnitz and all that will have done. So we've got separate battles going on further down the field as well. Wirtz has finally got through on Benavides by the looks of it.
Finally, the move comes, and it's P18 for the moment. It'll be interesting to see the replay on that. Zagazetta's got past G as well. Delpino and Ho were also very close together, so some switches going on further back as well. We're on lap number 14 out of 25 of this FIA Formula 3 feature race around Barcelona as we get ready to reach the halfway mark of our 2025 season. It's been some campaign, and we cannot wait to see what else it has in store for us in the second half as well. And right now we are finding ourselves with a great battle, a 3-way battle at the front of the field. Let us know your predictions in the chat in terms of who's going to come out on top, and make sure you subscribe and like for more content, including the rest of the support series action and then Formula 1. You've got Formula E going on at the same time, so go open that stream as well and show that some support. We've got F2 coming up next here at Barcelona. Then we've got the Porsche Super Cup as it returns to Spain for the first time since 2020. And then, of course, we have the main Grand Prix of Formula 1 as we get ready to end off a crazy triple header, which has included all of our support series action with F1, F2, F3, and the Super Cup. And F1 Academy will be back next time out in 2 weeks at the Canadian Grand Prix as well. So, some great action supporting Formula 1, and it's some great action which still has Kamara the leader on lap number 15. So, Van Hopen's getting close, not close enough at the moment, but he will be looking to now just sit in behind and maybe challenge later on in the race when his tyres allow it. This is Nicolas Solov, though. He looks a lot more closer to Martini Stenchon.
Yes, so Tremnitz, he's fighting out with Stenchon, who have history already from what happened yesterday. But let's see if Tremnitz can keep it clean this time around on... Oh, no, it's Solov, isn't it, with Stenchon? Sorry, I was looking at the wrong Red Bull Junior drive. This is Solov on the rear of Stenchon as they come round to turn number 5. But, you know, they're not really seeing major changes here. Van Herpen is just preserving his tyres for the final few laps. That's when we start to see more of the major overtakes that end up deciding this race. Kamara has the point for the fastest up as well. Pit lane entry is now open. So whatever the problem was that made race control decide to close pit entry or pit lane entry has been rectified. So we've got 10 laps to go at the end of this one. Van Herpen is getting closer and closer and closer gradually, but when is the time for him to make his move?
That is the interesting question. When does he decide to make the move? If you leave it till the end, you could risk a safety car coming out and the race ending behind the safety car. So you risk that coming in. So when do you do that? When do you risk it? And it is Formula 3. You're going to have basically 28 other contenders who are all fighting at the moment. So there could be easily contact at any moment. Glenn giving that prediction to us, which we asked for. That is Kamara for P1. Right now, though, in the battle for 5th, I think that looks more unpredictable because Solov was going for it and really having a look, darting absolutely everywhere at the moment to try and take 5th position. Charlie Wurz now turns his, of course, attention to Christian Ho. He's the driver now who is next up the road, and let's see whether he'll be able to get past the Dams Lucas Oil driver. But yes, Stenchon able to maintain the position ahead of Solov for the moment. That was for 5th and 6th position. Dominguez is in behind. I want to draw a bit of attention to GST. He's got the gap down from around 2.5 to now 1.2. So this 3-car battle at the front is now about to become a 4-car battle.
By the looks of it, yes. And GST's just coming alive a little bit, getting onto the rear of these three. But I think part of that is down to the fact that Van Herpen is not attacking Kamara and just backing off the pace slightly, allowing Niall and GST to stay in touch. Van Herpen won't want to leave it too late, as you've already mentioned. He can end up risking a safety car if he decides to leave it too late. So he needs to get on with it, really, if he's going to come away with the race win. And there we see the Trident further behind. That's Noah Stromstead, who's in the middle of this, as he's ahead of Boyer, who's in 9th. So Boyer, who's in 10th, sorry, Stromstead 9th, and there is Boyer on the rear of Stromstead. As it stands with a time penalty, Boyer, well, he's going to drop a long way down, isn't he?
Yep, Benavides has lost 19th. So I wonder whether that was just a pass or whether it was a mistake from Brad Benavides. Here we go, does the move finally come with DRS? He's much more alongside, and now he's a full car length ahead. Down by the time he puts on the brakes for turn 1. Benavides loses out to Lacorte. He tried to fight back against Badoa, so that's some interesting fighting going on between the drivers in 19th, 20th and 21st. Brad Benavides losing positions as he tries to return back to this level and tries to relearn everything racing on this F1 weekend as well. And we're going to take a look at some replays, and this is going to be some of the battling that was going on. So Badoa to the inside of Benavides, and I assume Benavides is going to be forced out wide, and that is going to allow Lacorte possibly through. No, they continue going wheel to wheel, and they're going to go for it all the way to the end of the lap. So this is side-by-side action through turn number 13 and turn number 14, and Brad Benavides is going to keep his foot in, but he will just run wide on the outside, and that's the risk that you take when you keep your foot in round there, and then he loses out to Lacorte.
Yeah, so that's the double whammy for Brad Benavides, losing out to Badoa and to Lacourte. As you see, the leaders come through turn 12. Van Herpen still running about the same gap as before, and GST is now within DRS range of Teofil Niall, so he can be dragged along by these three. But we want to see whether if Van Herpen can get onto the rear of that. There's a penalty served by Marina Najali, so we don't need to go into detail of that because he served that, I think, at the end of the second lap of the safety car restart. So he's on his way. He's a long way down anyways, Marina Najali, out of contention for anything. Still no change, though, within the top four. But we are seeing a change. That's Ivan Dominguez getting past Martini Stenchon for 6th position. And just like Solov, it was a slam dunk overtake on Stenchon.
Dominguez will really be hoping to get this confidence boost after the win yesterday for a driver who was 32nd in the championship. Coming into today, contact! Lacorte is going to make contact with Badoa, and they're going to go off the road at turn 1. Lacorte will try continue, and that could be Badoa. Beached in the gravel trap, the black and white flag is out for another McLaren Junior, that's Stenchon, for moving under braking, but that looks to be the end of Badoa's race.
Yes, and I'd imagine the court will have picked up a puncher as a consequence. It looked like the right front was lifted up in the air slightly, but the clock is carrying on his way, and that will be a safety car for sure with Badoa stuck in the gravel trap.
Yep, that will absolutely need to be the case. Let's take a look at a replay. We cut to it exactly when it was happening. Lacorte tries to go for the move. Badoa moves late. Lacorte still tries to commit, and then he ends up spinning around Badoa.
Yeah, it was quite erratic there, the way Badoa cut across on Lacorte entering turn 1 there. That is really, really strange to cut across so far or so late towards the braking zone. Safety car is deployed, Badoa retires, Lacorte continues.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for Lacorte to be able to do anything. He's, of course, in that dirty air at the time, so he can't really adjust himself, and he's already in that position. It's tight. They're getting to the braking zone, so it's hard then to either move to the inside, which there wouldn't be any room, or move to the outside, which he would still maybe tag Badoa on the way. And so, yeah, I think Badoa moving so late just means that it leaves Lacorte with less options, and that's what happens between those two drivers. So really unfortunate stuff for those two, but yeah, it's a very late move for Badoa. The safety car's out, and the marshals are immediately going to work. So this is exactly what we were mentioning. If something like this was to happen on lap number 23, lap number 24, then what Van Herpen will be risking is losing out to Kamara as well. So it's happened now. We will be able to go back racing unless there's anything else that does happen. But yeah, the car will be repaired and we'll get back going soon. But that's the type of thing that Van Herpen is going for. Risk versus reward stuff. Does he leave it all the way to the end? There is a long DRS straight, but he'll need to be close. Maybe he might even try jump on the restart if he can get a good restart this time around for Van Herpen.
Yeah, so he needs to go with Kamara as soon as Kamara gets his foot down. He may have to get his foot down maybe a touch before Kamara does, just to preempt the launch from the Trident. So this is Kamara in the lead with Van Herpen in second. It's Niall Gisti, Solov Dominguez, Stenchon, Tronitz, Jumstead, and Boyer, who has that penalty for his incident. It was for leaving the track and gaining advantage that Boyer picked up, presumably for lap 1, which would promote his Campos teammate Taz Interpovasak into a points scoring position.
Yep. As we haven't mentioned it yet on a broadcast, I don't think we've mentioned it at all here on JB Motorsports. Lance Stroll, of course, will not be competing later on in the Formula 1 Grand Prix. I think it's worth just mentioning that for the first time on this channel so far. So yeah, Lance Stroll isn't competing later on, Tom. So he's sitting it out, and we cannot, of course, have any reserve drivers like Felipe Drogovic coming, because they, of course, didn't do a practice and didn't do, of course, the qualifying yesterday.
No, and it's a shame. I mean, I would have thought, on a circuit like this one with FP1, Drogovic should have been given a go at it. And I think if Aston Martin knew that Lance Stroll was carrying that amount of pain heading into the weekend, it would have been worth putting Drogovic in place of Stroll. So we'll have to see in 2 weeks' time whether Stroll will be fit enough to race at his home round, because he won't want to miss that. We've seen a replay then of the incident involving Badua and Lecorte. Again, yeah, I, in my honest opinion, Badua moved across too erratically, and Lecorte just didn't have enough time as he was slamming on the brakes.
Yeah, there's little you can do, because he's in very close proximity. He's right up to the back of Badua, so it leaves him with very limited options. You need to quickly move to one side. You cannot be moving that late, in my opinion, because it leaves the other driver with limited options then at that point. And even slowing down early, with how close he was, even slowing down early is maybe not even an option for Lecorte. So yeah, unfortunate stuff, but now it leaves us behind the safety car, and it leads us with a restart coming our way very, very shortly as well. Let us know your thoughts in the live chat on the race that we have seen. It's a race that has the fastest lap belonging to Rafa Kamara, and it's a race that will see the safety car coming in at the end of this lap. Good opportunity for anyone outside the top 10 now to try sneak themselves into it, with definitely some great racing to come at the end of this. And if there is any spins, if there is any typical Formula 3 chaos, opportunities could arise. So it's important, like yesterday, what we saw in the opening few laps, and even today, it's very important to just try to keep your nose clean and stay out of chaos.
100%. And we are seeing the Trident crew on the pit wall. Giacomo Ricci, the team manager. And then we're over at Van Amersfoort. What will they be thinking after the result from Ivan Dominguez yesterday, leading Santiago Ramos to a 1-2? Teofil Niall looking for his first win in this championship. Anything can happen on this restart then. It's essentially a 5-lap shootout to the end. Rafa Kamara, twice a feature race winner this season. Will it be 3 feature race wins by the end of today? We shall see.
It's going to be really fascinating to find out. GST closed in on this top 3 earlier on. He'll try remain there. When does Kamara put his foot down? This restart could be critical. He is going to go now, and he's going to try catch out Van Hopen, who's going to be under pressure from Teofil Niall, but it looks like Lawrence Van Hopen is going to stick with the Brazilian driver as we make our way to turn number 14, and it is time to go Formula 3 racing once again around Barcelona. Kamara able to pull away through the final corner, and it means that Niall's got a chance. Niall's got an opportunity to take second place as we come over the line, and Van Hopen covering the inside line. If these two battle for second place, it could allow Kamara further up the road. Niall's prepared to risk it. He's gonna go the long way around. It's millimeters between them, and Niall gets ahead. A superb move. He took the risk, and he gets his reward of second place. Kamara now with an 8-10 gap, and now Niall needs to put his attention straight away to sticking with Kamara.
A wonderful move from Teofil now around the outside of Lawrence Van Herpen, keeping his foot in there into turn 2. And we're just seeing Solov and Giusti going nose to tail as well. But great move for Niall by getting his move around the outside into turn 2. Now he needs to get within 1 second of Kamara for when the DRS is re-enabled. We see the Van Amersfoort crew looking on. They'll be very impressed with Niall's overtake there on the ART. We're just seeing a move from Tuka Tappan, who's now ahead of Brad Benavides into 20th place. There's no chance of him picking up any points in this one. But yeah, nice restart from the drivers. Very clean throughout. Let's hope we can keep it. They can keep it clean until the end. We see 2 of the Dams nose to tail, Matthias Seconsetzer and Christian Ho. Bruno Del Pino under attack from Charlie Wirtz into turn 10. Del Pino, one of the home heroes, keeping hold of the place ahead of the Austrian. But Kamara doing everything he needs to do on this restart. That was a dream restart there for the championship leader.
Yep, a dream one. We thought he may be under a little bit of pressure. Instead, he's extended his advantage at the front. It means Niall has a bit of work to do if he wants to challenge in the final stages. It was a great move as he tries to give Van Amersfoort another thing to cheer about. What a weekend it's been after taking a 1-2 yesterday. And then also their masterclass from the back row in Formula 2 sprint race yesterday. And then what we're seeing today, will the Camposes end well by the time we get through the opening few corners as off the road goes into Pruvazak, trying to get ahead of Maui Boyer. And when they rejoin, Maui Boyer will be ahead. Into Pruvazak will take the position though on the exit.
This exemplifies what I was saying earlier. Did you see the
Yeah.
lasting advantage that Info gained from going off the track like that? That is something that the FIA will need to review for next year's races, really, because I am of the opinion that you still gain a lasting advantage every time you go off the track there and going to the left of the bollards like that. Lecourt has been noted for a safety car infringement. One of that will be for exceeding the delta pace, which you are supposed to adhere to. So you'll probably come up with some form of penalty for that. But Kamara is still leading by 1.4 seconds out of DRS territory for the Trident. He's well and truly clear. But in the Pruvazak, well, will he keep hold of that place ahead of Boyer? We'll find it soon enough. Second safety car infringement noted for Leclerc. So it's likely he's going to pick up a penalty, isn't he?
Yep, absolutely. Will be likely indeed. And yeah, that was ridiculous stuff. Through the opening few corners of the circuit. Once again, being able to see that. Glenn saying there was a few reserves in FP3 yesterday. Aston Martin should have bought a reserve. Yep, absolutely. And Glenn also saying shot passes Leon. And he has been able to do so as well. That's 14th position now for Louis Sharp. Into Pruvazak's being told to give back the position. They're not going to risk the penalty, and they shouldn't do so. Tim Traminitz versus Stenchon down towards turn 1, and it means now that Noah Stromstead could get an opportunity, as momentarily Traminitz's line was compromised, but it looks like he's being able to recover that. And once again, we're going to get another car going wide and over the road.
Yeah, we see more drivers going through the runoff area there. It feels like a Joker card that each and every one of them is playing right now in this one. 10-second time penalty for Leclerc for the collision with Brando Badoa. That is that's rather unfortunate, actually. But to be fair, did he have enough time to switch to the outside when Badoa was defending? I'm not so sure. I felt Badoa moved erratically and moved under braking into turn 1. And another 10-second time penalty for Leclerc for a safety car infringement. As Info is on the radio saying we need to give the position back. Or the team telling us to get the position back, but saying that Boyer pushed him off the circuit. I'm not so sure he did there. We'll get a replay of it, should we get one. Sagasetter and Benavides swapping places as well, Omi.
Well, it is Campos' home race, it's Boyer's home race. This is not the drama that they want. So, are they about to do battle down towards turn 1 instead? Is Boyer going to go for it? Is Boyer going to try to take it away further back, directly behind? Woyton's getting a good exit out of turn number 14, and he's going to have a chance to make the move. Brilliant stuff from Kamara. He's got a 1.8 second gap as we go on to the penultimate lap. The battles further back will be very interesting, including Tim Traminitz pulling out of the slipstream, going to the inside, and taking away 7th place from the possession of Stenchon. So great stuff from the Red Bull Junior. He's able to move himself up there. The campus is still close together, but no move coming in. Into Pruvazak's more interested in Stenchon at the moment as well. He'll want to try and get by, and also of course Stromstead directly in there, who is the first car he'll actually be trying to pass. So it's really close, all of this battling, as we get ready to head into the final stages of this race.
10-second stop and go penalty for Leclerc for a second safety car infringement. That just sums up his weekend altogether. Considering we're into the last couple of laps of the race, that will be converted into a time penalty for sure. Probably be 30 seconds at least on top of what he's already picked up. Leclerc will drop down to last position for sure. Boyer has that time penalty. In the Pruvazak, we don't know for certain whether he'll keep hold of that final point. If he does end up getting a penalty of his own, then James Watson will be the one taking the final point. As we see one of the AIX racing cars going off the circuit, that'll be Brad Benavides, who has had quite an entertaining race up until that point on his return, or he returned to the championship rather recently, did Benavides. Last lap then, over the line. Kamara leading out of range of being overtaken by Niall with the DRS. He's absolutely fine. Van Herpen is not, though, because he's got GSD looking to the outside with the DRS.
GSD roars by to the final spot on the podium. He was patient, and he gets his reward. That's P3 on the last lap for Sandra. GSD, the MP Motorsport driver, makes the move, and it leaves Van Herpen now with limited opportunities to try fight back. It's been a terrible day for AIX. For MP Motorsport, they've been able to roar their way up the order with Sandra GSD, and of course you've also got Tim Traminitz in there directly in behind, but it looks to be heading Kamara's way if he can navigate his way through this final lap of the contest. Into Pruvzak versus Stenchun was going on. That was a move further back as they were battling their way through. You've got Tuka Tappanen trying to recover in this race. He's got past Noah Leon, and remember that Prema driver once was running in 14th. He finds himself in 20th. He finds himself in 19th. He's still trying to remain to some of those positions, and it's been a terrible weekend for Prema, the most successful team around this circuit. They are going to find themselves losing out. As talking about losing out, into Pruvzak's lost out to Wharton, and it's an absolute brawl behind as we head towards turn number 10, and let's see who's going to be able to get this one. So around the outside goes Callum Boysen. Louis Sharp is in there as well. We'll check in with that one later on, but well, we had Prema, as we mentioned, the most successful team around this circuit. It's going to be Trident's day though, and it's going to be Kamara's day specifically as he comes out of the final corner. It is going to be 3 feature race wins in 2025 for Rafa Kamara, who comes across the line to win once again in Formula 3. Then it's Niall, GSD, Van Herpen, Solov, Dominguez, and then it's Traminitz, Stenchorn, and then we're going to look over to this battle as Boyer is going to be beaten by Wharton, and then it's Woisen. Boyer finds himself behind with the penalty coming in, and then it's into Pruvzak in 12th, Sharp, then it's Delpino. Whereas that's your top 15. What an incredible Formula 3 race, and a deserving winner at the end of it being Rafa Kamara.
Absolutely. So Rafa Kamara putting no foot wrong in the feature race. 3 feature race wins in 2025 already for the young Brazilian, part of the Ferrari Academy. And there are... be careful in that chair, mate. You don't want to fall off that, especially if you're on a pit wall. But yeah, what a job from Kamara. And looking at how that has impacted the championship standings, 26 points clear over Nicolas Solov in 2nd place. Wow, he's going to be feeling like a happy man. The boy from Brazil doing his Brazilian fans absolutely proud whatsoever.
Yep, I mean, you've had so many drivers say that he's doing a Bortoletto. He absolutely is doing the same as his countrymen. Okay, Campuses. Mari Boyer into Pruvzak, and we're reviewing what happened between those two drivers, and it was contact heading down to turn 1.
Yeah, and that was in for Pruvzak going through the runoff area to avoid any more further contacts, but you can see he's coming back, going around the bollards to the left, which you are instructed to do. We've seen them continue there. Oh, that's through the gravel track through in Pruvzak. This must have been on the last lap, actually. Boyer pushing into Pruvzak off the circuit at turns 7 and 8, and that allowed James Wharton to get through as a result. So I would imagine that Boyer could be hit with another penalty later on, because it felt like he pushed into Pruvzak off the circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Kamara saying yes, come on the radio, and the team responding with yes, mate. And he's also getting the congratulations once again, and he's once again being told on what a great performance it's been from him. Apologies, by the way, for no track audio in today's Formula 3 race. It's just been with Formula E being moved forward and moved back, and everything that's been going on with the weather there, it's just meant that we haven't been able to bring you everything. Delpino gets a 5-second penalty for track limits, and Bruno Delpino finds himself now in 17th position after all of that. So he now loses a couple of positions, does Bruno Delpino, the MP Motorsport man. Teofilo Null will be delighted with 2nd place, and it was a critical move, Tom, that he was able to make on the restart, and ever since then he was able to keep 2nd.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Brilliant drive from Teofilo Null. I'm just looking at Nicola Lecourt, actually, because he came into the round with 11 penalty points already. And if that is the case, he could well be out of the next round in Austria. So we'll inform you further down the line on that. But that race was one of the worst he's had in his career, for absolutely sure.
Yeah, it's a dreadful day, and yeah, we could absolutely be seeing him out for the next race in Austria, which I can immediately see everyone hoping for Timex to be getting the chance to go to Dan's Lucas Oil. I can already see all of the Feeder Series fans hoping for that one. But yeah, whoever they do get at Dan's Lucas Oil will be interesting, if of course we do see the Corte band. We're still going to have to bring you confirmation on that next time out in Austria. And I'll make sure that if we do find the news out before that, we'll make sure to update you on an F1 Academy broadcast in 2 weeks' time, or even F1. We'll make sure that you still do get the news. But for now, your current news is, from this race, Kamara back on top after a Monaco to forget for the Brazilian. He's back on top, back to form, and back to winning ways, and into the hands of his team. Ferrari are there. He's of course Ferrari backed is Rafa Kamara, and after winning the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, he will go to try win this year, and he'll try then to next year as well. Oscar Piastri won of course 3 titles in 3 years in a similar way. That's exactly now what Bortoleto will be hoping to try and achieve. Teo Fional into the hands of his team. They'll also be very happy. Well, Teo Fional into the hands of his family, as well as Van Amersfoort gets another thing to celebrate. They're having a very good weekend, Tom. Across Formula 3, across Formula 2, it's really going well for them when it's come to racing.
To celebrate 50 years of racing, Van Amersfoort Racing have really shown why they belong in this championship. They made their debut in FIA Formula 3 in 2022. I think they won in their very first race weekend, didn't they? Where was it Franco Colapinto that won for them that weekend in Bahrain, from memory?
Yeah, Franco Colapinto, I remember, was in contention with Ollie Behrman in 2022 for that race. And then it was Colapinto who was able to get it after Behrman crossed the line first, but then was given a penalty. So it was Colapinto who was able to get that victory. And then Colapinto gave them a win at Imola later on that year. So it's been quite interesting. And to be fair, Colapinto and Imola, that combination has been extraordinary. Of course, he made the move on the last lap to win in F3 at Imola. He made the move on the last lap to win in F2 at Imola. And then, of course, it was his first Formula 1 race as a return as well here in 2025 for him. For Rafa Kamara, Imola, it went well until he got down to the second half of that race where his tyres degraded, but that's a lesson that he learned, and it was a lesson that he found himself with as well. So yes, we're getting ready now for some Formula 2 action that will be coming up in about half an hour's time, so that'll be quite a lot of fun to see what Formula 2 is going to be able to deliver. The drivers currently find themselves in the cool down room. Apologies, we aren't able to bring you any of the audio for that one at the moment, but yes, the drivers in the cool down room, they'll now be reflecting on what was a very challenging race, and a race that definitely did require a lot of skill, a lot of talent by these drivers, and they'll be turning their attention to Austria, a round, Tom, which of course we have to wait about a month for, but it's going to be an interesting double header along with Silverstone. That's going to be action pack. We did of course have JB when he was with us in Formula 2 yesterday, discussing about how this triple header has been. Circuits that where it's a little bit more challenging to overtake, we're going to be heading to a double header where it's going to be action pack from start to finish. Yeah,
well, we don't have, it'll be worth the wait for Austria, and of course Silverstone as well, and we've got Spa 3 weeks after Silverstone for F3 to continue its circus with Hungary before the summer break, and then it's all building up to that season finale at Monza. Mind you, Rafa Kamara could have the championship wrapped up before then, but the team's championship could well be on the line with the way Trident have been performing, looking unbeatable. But Campos are still there just about.
Yeah. So I've just been sent the documents in terms of the Porsche Super Cup grid and all of that stuff as well. It's changed a lot. I think there's been about 4 changes. Now the gap is suggesting 11 thousandths. After we left the broadcast with 0.00, tied between the top 2 in the Super Cup, we now find ourselves with a gap of 0.011. So that's the gap right now, 11 thousandths of a second. So Flint Turing starts on pole for that one. So yeah, lots of track limits, lots of stuff going on with that. Kind of like what Formula 3 had, but even worse. We had about, I think, 3 pole sitters stripped off their position in the Super Cup's broadcast once the checkered flag had fallen. So it was all dramatic. You can still watch that qualifying. There will be a gap in between Formula 2 and the Super Cup. There will be about a 50-minute gap, so you can easily get that video watched right before we get going for the race. Kamara will be heading to the top step of the podium, and I mean, we've had the Brazilian national anthem a few times this season already, so you know how it sounds for Rafa Kamara winning a Formula 3 race, and he's up there once again in full force and in all celebration, along with Terrafianal, along with GSD as well, who will be very delighted with that result for MP Motorsport. Lawrence Van Hoopen will be slightly disappointed as well to lose out. He was running in second place for quite long. He was looking as the driver to save tires to try challenge Kamara at the end, but unfortunately didn't work out. First passed by Niall on the restart, and then GSD got by on the last lap.
Two French drivers on the podium with the Brazilian Rafa Kamara. I wonder what we'll see any of them in Formula 2 next year. I think with the way Kamara has been performing, of course, if he wins the 3 championship, he won't be able to compete in the championship any longer. So he'll be on his way straight into Formula 2, presumably. Which team that will be? Well, answers on a postcard for that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how the rest of the season goes for Kamara, because with 3 wins already this season, all of which being in feature races, I just hope that when it comes to the sprint races, he can just up his game in that a little bit, because we haven't really seen what he can do in terms of racecross. I know, like in Bahrain, in the sprint race there, he fell to the back to begin with and then recovered to something like 16th place or whatever. But other than that, or it might have been 12th thinking of it, for him. But we'll see how he goes in Austria. And there is the trophy for the Trident crew, as well as the race-winning trophy. Another one to go back into their cabinet over in Italy. And another trophy going to Teofil Niall, who celebrates another podium to go with what he's already got this campaign.
Yep, celebrations for Sandro GSD as well on the podium, and MP Motorsport delighted for him, and he was a driver who remained in contention all the way through, and the top 3 will pose for the photos, and then immediately they will kickstart the celebrations 1 week. 1 month rather, before we head over to the Red Bull Ring at Austria. That's going to be another festival of Formula 3 racing. We cannot wait for that, along with Silverstone, where this year, of course, we're going to have F1, F2, F3 and British F4. We are hoping to also bring you British F4 that weekend as well, if, of course, there is a live stream. We do realise with ITV sometimes on Saturdays they don't end up streaming it, so sometimes the championship doesn't get streamed at all. So we're hoping that if there is any streams, then we will be bringing you the British F4 round at the same time, along with F3, F2 and F1. No Porsche Super Cup at Silverstone this year, and they are here at Spain, which will be an interesting round for them. Later on, we've got a Formula 2 feature race that's coming up, where it includes Arvid Lindblad, our winner from this exact race 1 year ago, this feature race, Formula 3 feature. Arvid Lindblad won, and he finds himself starting on pole position as he chases his first ever feature race win at Formula 2's level. So that's going to be quite interesting as well. But it's been another great Formula 3 round, and we now will turn our attention to what's coming up. The second half of the season, that's the halfway mark reached in FIA Formula 3. And overall, Tom, I think it's been a very good first half. The Formula 2 cars now being prepared and rolled down into the pit lane. But for Formula 3, the first half of this new generation of car has gone quite well.
I've really enjoyed it so far. I mean, it's been an entertaining season so far with the new car, which Dallara have done very well in designing. That was launched at Monza last year, which I like the look of. And now we are going to be cheating for a brilliant end to the season with a run of races coming up in June and July. And let's see if Rafa Kamara can keep up. Can anyone from Austria onwards just find some form and take the fight to him?
Well, thank you very much, Tom. We'll quickly run you through our results of this one. Rafa Kamara ends as our winner, and then it's Teofil Niall who finished in second place. GSD was in third. Then it was Lawrence Van Hoopen, Nicolas Solov, Ivan Dominguez. He'll be really happy to get that win yesterday, and that will definitely be one of his highlights before he heads into Austria in a month's time. Then it's Tim Travanitz, Noah Stormstead, Sten Sean, and Callum Boysen completing your top 10. Into Pruvazak in 11th. Then it was Louis Sharp, Charlie Wers, Christian Ho, Zagazeta, James Wharton. Bruno Del Pino, of course, drops down due to the penalty. And then we found ourselves right at the end of our results, seeing Noel Leon, Tuka Tappinen, Ugo Igachukwu, and then it was Gerard G. Carrasquedo in his first ever feature race, then Boya, Marinangeli, Benavides, Lecorte with a race to forget. Same applies to Bedora, Garfias, Belinsky, who wasn't able to finish, both races this weekend, and it is going to be Santiago Ramos in 30th position. But we're going to quickly now see and just reply to some of your comments as well in the chat before we end off as well. Glenn saying, thanks guys for the commentary. He also mentions no Imola next year. We're still waiting on confirmation for Imola, but it's Barcelona, this circuit, that is at risk at the moment. Wharton drops down to 16th, putting Wozen in the points, absolutely. And Glenn saying, thank you for your F3 knowledge, it's very interesting, Tom and Emi. Thank you very much, Glenn, for all of your support. Hopefully Louis Sharp will be up there for you next round. But that brings an end to FIA Formula 3 around this circuit. We thank absolutely everyone for joining us, and well, I mean, if this is the last time that we get to come to Barcelona, thank you very much for all of the action that you've delivered, Formula 3. It's where we had our first ever race when we started this championship, so it will always hold a special place in the categories history, and it also hosted race 100 as well. Thank you very much, and we've seen a brilliant Formula 3 race which belongs to Kamara, and we'll see you in a month's time when we go racing at the Red Bull Ring at Austria. Goodbye.